The debut is here, ladies and gents. This is the OTC Preview Show. Manchester United need another bounce back, Liverpool and Manchester City face off, and the end of pay-per-view is happening. All that and more to come, so stay tuned. Hello and welcome to OTC Podcast with me, Regan, Walsh, and my co-host Bradley Morris. Today we are going to be talking about the England squad for the upcoming internationals, reaction to Manchester United's performance in the Champions League against Istanbul Başakşehir, and looking towards this weekend's fixtures in the Premier League. But before we dive into all of them, there's a bit of breaking news in the last hour or so. The Athletic are reporting that the Premier League are going to scrap the pay-per-view games that aren't originally scheduled for TV after this weekend's games. They brought it in about a month ago now, where games that weren't on live TV would cost fans an extra £14.95 per game. Brad, what are your thoughts on the Premier League deciding to finally get rid of this?
Well, it's taken about as long to decide this as this election is happening right now as we speak. It's about time. I think we all knew this was the worst decision and the worst pricing strategy that they could have came up with. No sensible fan was ever going to pay £14.95 for a game like West Brom Burnley.
Yeah. I mean, I think I remember looking last weekend, they had 5 of the games on TV and 5 of them not on TV last weekend. So you're paying £74.75p just to watch half the Premier League games if you wanted to just watch them 5. Plus, you've got to pay for your Sky or Virgin, whatever company package you're with. Plus, you've got to pay a TV license on top of that, because obviously having a natural TV, you've got to pay, I think it's like 38 quid for the TV license, even if you didn't watch sport. So you're going to be paying 200-300 quid a month, if not more, just to watch the games. And it was a ridiculous situation for them to even come up with. If they said maybe 4 or 5 quid, I think some fans would have been like, okay, it's not the best, but it's something that is quite decent and we'd look at doing. But I think the fact that they said £14.95 and it's for each game, not just doing that as like a £14.95 for the whole weekend, is, I think, ridiculous.
Yeah, it's also that big issue. This affects the fan bases of more teams than others.
Yeah.
Because you check it, Villa have had 5 games in a row on it.
So they haven't been on Sky Sports or...
I believe the Leeds...
No, actually.
Not in the Leeds games. I can't remember the last time we actually were on Sky.
Wow.
Genuinely.
You're not even... I've just looked. You're not on this weekend's game, Sunday evening against Arsenal. Is also on Sky Sports box office. So even this weekend, you're not on normal Sky. So say if that's 6 games, that's about 90 quid that Villa fans would have had to pay out.
It's generally, I think the only other club that can say the same, I can't remember if Burnley or Fulham.
I think it might be Fulham, because if I remember correctly, their game against West Brom at the start of this week was on Sky Sports box office, and I don't think was their game against Tottenham the other week, was that on normal Sky?
It's not. I don't really remember.
No, but either way, so that's 89 quid, 90 quid that Villa fans have had to pay out for 6 of their games being on Sky Sports pay-per-view since they've brought it in. And I think it was rightly so that they were getting rid of it after this weekend's fixtures. I think if they carried on for the rest of the season, many fans would just find illegal streams and other ways of watching the game rather than paying $14.95 a game, because it is ridiculous.
Just mental.
I think the thing now is, are they going to come up with some alternative way of showing these games that aren't naturally selected for TV here in the UK? Because obviously elsewhere they'll have some like broadcasts over like NBC, they'll have all the games, so like they'll just do what we have, so we only see the highlights of it for like match of the day and that. But they've got to come up with some other way of being able to show the fans the games that aren't on TV, whether that's a cheaper subscription box or they just have them on Sky and BT naturally.
It does. In practice, there's nothing technically wrong with it. It's just a ridiculous price to ask fans to pay for in a global pandemic.
Yeah, well, many people have been put on furlough throughout the year and have lost jobs, even if they haven't been put on furlough, or have just naturally lost their jobs. $14.95 per game for, I think it's been the last 6 weeks now it's been around, is crazy. Finally, some good news about it, getting rid of it, because I was definitely never a supporter of it. Elsewhere, as we mentioned, Gareth Southgate has announced his England squad for their upcoming games against the Republic of Ireland, Belgium and Iceland later on this month. This is a recall to the squad for Phil Foden after he and Mason Greenwood were dropped following their incident in Iceland. However, the Manchester United young forward has been left out of the squad. Any surprises in the squad?
I can't technically pick one out that surprises me. This is vintage Southgate in his absolute worst.
Yeah, it's not a good squad.
It's the favourites.
Yeah, it's not a good squad, and it's not a bad squad. It's just a Gareth Southgate squad, and everyone you expect to be there is I mean, baking hundreds and hundreds of right backs in it. Jordan Pickford will be in goal. Well, here's one for you. So Southgate said there is nobody challenging seriously to push him out of that position. Talking about Jordan Pickford.
If the argument was ever there that he's looking at league table position,
I think he must be.
Has to do, because Newcastle fans would heavily disagree with him on that one.
Well, speaking about Callum Wilson being admitted, he said, we didn't think it was right to leave Tammy Abraham out this time, despite missing out on Callum Wilson, who's been in excellent form this season. Again, another admission, you would say, Tariq Lamptey of Brighton. He's been in excellent form for the Seagulls this season. How has he not got called up? Yet he's called up Reece James, who's going to be suspended for the Belgium and Iceland game, as he got sent off against Denmark in the last set of Nations League fixtures. He is literally just picking the same 29 it is here, as he always does, and it's just gotten to a point where I don't think many England fans can take it. Like, yeah, England are going to win their qualifying groups easily for the Euros whenever we do that again, because we always get against the easiest nations ever. Then the Nations League, might get out of the group or finish top and then get to the semi-finals or the following round and get knocked out. And then later on this year, the draw for the World Cup qualifiers are going to take place for UEFA. Again, England will no doubt get a bunch of nobodies and it'll be easy and they'll finish top. And it's just the same old repetitiveness.
That's very harsh on San Marino. That's very harsh.
I mean, I don't think it is. I mean, we play the same 7 or 8 sides every couple of years.
I would love a fixture against Gibraltar.
Honestly, I'd rather England have a group of, is it 6 to 10 or no?
I thought it was like 5 or 6.
6 in a group, because you play 10 games, because obviously you can't play yourself. For England, for this Euros, I'd like them to play, I know it's going to be unlikely due to the pot coefficient that they're going to be in. But someone like a Spain, a Northern Ireland, or can we not play home nation side?
I believe we can.
A Denmark, a Slovakia, a Slovenia, a Poland. Just some better quality opposition rather than San Marino, Gibraltar.
I mean, I just want to get to the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, I've never been a fan of Southgate. I don't think he's a good manager. He wouldn't inspire me as a player to give 110%. I'd just like, yeah, mate, go back to working in Marks and Spencer's for us. And
somehow I can't see Harry Kane and Jadon Sancho thinking.
I don't know. I never thought he was the right appointment in the first place. I think they should have looked at someone who, like, he's been in the England setup for years. Don't get me wrong, but
we know what happened because the person who was there decided to ruin everything for themselves, and subsequently they had to lose their job. Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that England getting rid of Sam Allardyce. I need to forget his name there, but did they really have to appoint? Could they have not found someone better?
You could almost see it as they've had to get rid of a guy clearly they couldn't trust. You know that, and they brought in someone in who they know they can back, and they know he's not going to fly back up.
Yeah, he was the safe option.
Which a bit at the time I didn't necessarily disagree.
Yeah, at the time he's like, okay, it's a smart decision.
We were going into that World Cup, no ambition.
Yeah,
and then it became the issue. We actually did well.
Yeah, we did well.
We should have got to the final. We should have got to that final.
Yeah, but I think now, looking forward, keep him for the Euros next year, but do you keep him for the World Cup in 2022?
It would depend on how he did in the Euros.
Okay, so if we get to the round of 6, how many teams from the Euros? I forgot. Is it 32?
I can't remember. Let's start quarterfinals.
Okay, so quarterfinals he has to get to keep his job.
If we go out in the quarterfinals, does he stay or go?
I think England would keep him.
I think the quarterfinals, anything past the quarterfinals, he'd stay.
Yeah, anything past the quarters, he's safe. Anything before the quarterfinals, I think he's out. Also, it depends on how.
If we somehow go out of the group stage, his job's untenable.
So
it just has to be.
I forgot. So we've got Croatia in our group.
Croatia, Czech Republic, and then we'll find out the third team.
Yeah.
If I'm right, it's either Scotland or Serbia, I think.
Versus Serbia.
Yeah.
Which kicks off in a week's time.
Which is in the same international next week. I mean, for the bands, it has to be Scotland.
Yeah, but it won't be. It'll be Serbia.
You never know.
No. But anyway, yeah, I think...
It would be a nice bit of history for Scotland.
It would be, but it's Scotland. I think, anyway, looking forward to the international games. I think Ireland, they should win, considering it's a friendly. Belgium's going to be a tight game. I don't know who they've called up, if they've announced their squad, but if Lukaku carries on his form like he has done for Inter Milan this season, I think he's going to be very hard to contain. And then the game against Iceland, it's one that's up in the air and anything can happen, really. Right, now it's time to talk about Manchester United and that performance against Istanbul Başakşehir in the
lovely
Champions League.
On the Başakşehir.
Thank you. I think it's better than I remember what Ashley Cole did last year. But United defensively yesterday against Istanbul was diabolical. I mean, for that first goal that Demba Ba scored, the four most forward players for United were the back four, and
I just wonder who that back four was.
It was Harry Maguire, Aaron Wan-Bissaka,
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Luke Shaw,
Oh dear. Oh dear.
and I can't remember who the other centre back was. Was it Lindelof?
Oh, you've forgotten this. It was the man they were all praising. We let's forget 2 weeks ago. It was Axel Tuanzebe.
Yes, sorry, my mind just went completely blank as to who it was with him.
It was Axel. I still have great admiration for
from his lone time at Villa.
Yeah, obviously. Well, not his game.
I don't think many were for United yesterday. I think it was a poor performance. They were poor all round from the whole team, so I wasn't expecting anything from them. The
group of death. It gets called the group of death for more than one reason. Not just because of the good teams it's surrounded by. It's that lone team you don't expect to do anything, and that's where the travelling comes in. That comes into effect a little bit, just a little bit.
I mean, Istanbul's only a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, I think.
I mean, any trip to close Middle East is.
Yeah, but I mean, the other two ties for away fixtures, I mean, it's Germany and France.
You can't have the excuses in that one.
Yeah, it's literally across the pond.
I mean, there's no excuse really for them losing to this team anyway.
No, there shouldn't be. I mean, I think that was their first ever Champions League win as well.
You have to team with Martin Skirtle in defence and Demba Ba up front.
And Raphael in defence, the former Man United right back.
Well, that explains the victory.
I mean, the lineup yesterday was, let's have a look, how many former Premier League players can we see? So Demba Ba, like you said, Martin Skirtle, Raphael, I'm sure they've got a few more. I'm sure Gael Clichy is a part of this team, but he wasn't a part of the game yesterday.
A few of them. They're building a team that would have dominated 10 years ago.
They're doing what Inter Milan are doing, just buying old Premier League players.
They're going down the MLS approach.
Well, that's all the Turkish league really is. It's just a European/Middle Eastern version of the MLS, but not as good in my eyes, because we all know Galatasaray and Fenerbahce.
Football fans.
Yeah, but I mean, it's always the same three that are always there.
All views said in this podcast, they're not all members of the.
It's never been as competitive as the Premier League or Spain and Germany. That's all I will say about that. But yeah, there was obviously a lot of talk after that game about the defensive woes and does this put Solskjaer's job on the line? As an outsider, what would you say, looking in at Man United? Is Solskjaer under pressure now?
I mean, if he isn't, then how? Like how? Because there's been more than enough times that you can say, is this guy going to take us to where we want to be?
Yeah. I think the main thing is... I think the main thing is, though, with Man United is you can't keep tossing and changing managers every 2.5-3 years, because the players won't get stuck to one philosophy, because by the time they've learned it, results start going against them and then they end up sacking the manager and looking elsewhere. So if Solskjaer was to go now, not saying I want him to, they bring in everyone's so-called favourite, Pochettino. What can he do with this group of players? Can he turn them around to make them title challengers? I know not necessarily this season. This season, I think United are going to ask for a Europa League spot or Champions League spot based on however they can turn their season around. But you bring in Pochettino, say, before Christmas or after Christmas. He's got the January transfer window and the summer window. We don't know whether the club's financial position will be back to normal pre-COVID, or are they still going to be struggling for finances and selling and signing players? Is that going to be a problem? So can Pochettino do some miracle that Mourinho, Van Gaal, Solskjaer and Moyes weren't able to do?
I mean, miracles Oh, Sean Maurizio. That's weird. But you're forgetting what this man did at Southampton. He then did it at Tottenham. He built these teams from, let's say, mid-level. Maybe not in Tottenham's case. They had at Tottenham, almost practically similar. All these quality players. Now you've just got to fit them together and build the right shape for them. Get them in a team and see if it works.
Yeah, I think that's...
He's much more qualified to do this than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
I think that's the main problem with Solskjaer at the minute, is he doesn't know... the defence is somewhat fine and can pick itself, really. So I think naturally it would be a fit Alex Telles on the left, Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, De Gea in goal, and then your forward three of Martial, Rashford and Greenwood. But it's just how he gets the midfield of Van der Beek, Fernandes, Pogba, Matic, McTominay. How does he get all them like gelling? And I think you're right in the sense that I think Pochettino could do a better job of getting that midfield playing better. And whether that is just the missing link for United, it would be interesting to see.
United needed a midfielder. They signed Donny van der Beek. But was he the right kind of midfielder that you actually needed?
No. I think we needed more
for
of
depth-wise, I get it.
Yeah.
If you want to sign depth, you don't sign Donny van der Beek.
No.
Not someone of his quality, just to leave on the bench.
I think what we needed after we signed Fernandes in January was a defensive-minded midfielder.
And as we know, there was clearly an option out there.
In Thomas Partey.
That is the person I'm referring to, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense to have gone for Partey. It would have been, I think, a good signing, because I think him and Pogba and Fernandes would have worked together quite well, and it would have. I think he's good very good defensive-mindedly compared to what the current positions United have.
So in the game against Arsenal, he controlled that Arsenal midfield.
Yeah.
I mean, how many games has he played for?
2, 3.
2, 3, yeah, exactly. Just like that, bang, he's leading.
Comparing them to Patrick Vieira already.
Slightly premature.
Very premature. If you can keep it up, then yeah.
But you compare that to someone like Fred or McTominay. Are they doing that?
No.
And how long's McTominay been at that club?
Years. I mean, he's from the United Academy. Well, it's going to be interesting to see what the United board do. But I think personally, a change in the board, aka get rid of Ed Woodward, is needed more, as well as a manager and a director of football coming in. I think that's the three main changes for United. Would be a more tactical manager if they were to get rid of Solskjaer, a director of football to deal with the transfers. Then I'd be happy to say, okay, leave Ed Woodward to do all the not financial side, but the sponsorship side of stuff for United, or get rid of him as well. And because if you look at it, since David Gill left in 2013 with Sir Alex Ferguson, United's transfer business has been awful. Well, I can just think of it off the top of my head. They spent 60 odd million on Di Maria, lost 10 million on him a year later. They bought Memphis Depay for about 30 odd million. A few years later, he was gone. Never lived up to it. They had Falcao on loan. I think his loan was about £5 to £9 million. Useless.
I was going to say, how long have we got? Because this list is atrocious.
Marcus Rojo.
We all know where people could really go if they want to know this information.
Oh yes, they can check out the article I did on the website where I broke down all the United signings that the club have made post.
Take an hour out of your day. It takes that long.
Yeah, it would probably take an hour or so's reading. But yeah, I think there's more. I think there's more problems at United than there are solutions at the minute looking forward in this short term. Right, it's time to look forward to this weekend's fixtures, which start tomorrow on Friday at 5:30 with Brighton and Hove Albion versus Burnley, the pinnacle of Friday night football.
This is why it came into play.
On Sky Sports box office, so £14.95 to watch. 20th place Burnley, plays 16th place Brighton. A win would see the Seagulls
position.
in 16th.
Yeah, that's surprisingly low, considering they.
I don't know. I think I was just expecting that for Brighton. 6th, 5th, between 12 below is what I expect for Brighton. I think it's an easy Brighton win. Burnley have looked poor all season. I think it could be Burnley's best chance to win, but they haven't.
If there's a game for Burnley to finally put the marker down and say, no, we are still in this. We're not down. We're just in a bit of a bad slump.
Wow. Okay, I've got some very interesting facts for you about this game. So Brighton have won just one of their 6 Premier League meetings with Burnley, drawn 3, lost 2, though it was in their last such game against them, winning 2-1 on the final day of last season. Burnley are unbeaten in their last 4 away league games against Brighton since a 2-0 loss in August 2013. However, 3 of these 4 visits have ended in a draw. But even more bad news for Burnley is they are winless in their last 10 top-flight away games, played on a Friday, drawing 4, losing 6, since a 3-1 win at Newcastle in January of 1926. However, only one of these games has been in the now called Premier League rather than the First Division, which was a 2-0 loss to Everton in May 2019.
It's not the best reading for him. It's just...
No, it's not really. That's not going to give many Burnley fans much hope.
Because they're through now, they can't wait.
But I think if I was a betting man, I'd say Brighton to win 2-1.
This has 1-1 written all over it.
The other game on Friday night kicks off at 8 o'clock, so straight afterwards on Sky Sports Premier League, and main event is down at the South Coast, or along the South Coast, sorry, not down on the South Coast, because Brighton is also on the South Coast. Yeah, and it's to the left of Brighton. See Southampton play Newcastle. A long trip for the Magpies down from Newcastle, about 4 or 5 hours down via the train, though they probably flew. Newcastle in the table currently sit 11th, whilst Southampton are up in 5th place. However, the Saints will be without striker Danny Ings after he went off injured last week and is set to miss 4 to 6 weeks with his knee injury. They'll be hoping to count on Shea Adams to replace fellow Englishman. But how do the Saints stop Callum Wilson this weekend?
Well, they can still stop Callum Wilson. He's not doing Newcastle. Don't want to say they're lucky. They're not lucky. They have the style, and it just works.
Yeah.
It's not pretty. Christ, I lived through it for 3 seasons. It's horrible, but when you're getting the results, you don't complain.
Yes.
Although you have every right to complain.
So a bit of facts about the Friday night football. Southampton have lost all 3 of their home Premier League games played on Fridays by an aggregate score of 15-2. Indeed, their last such match ended in a 9-0 defeat against Leicester October last year.
If I see a Steve Bruce team scoring 9 goals, just
however,
exit.
Yeah, it's not also that good reading for Newcastle because this will be their 12th game played on a Friday and their 11th away from home. The Magpies have just won 2 of their last 3 games, having won just one of their first 8 on a Friday night. So both teams are looking decent this season. Southampton, I'd say, the better of the 2, obviously based on league position. And victory would see the Saints go to the top of the Premier League for just under 24 hours at least, because Everton could retake this spot if they win on Saturday afternoon. But I'm going to go with a Southampton 3-2 win.
Christ, 3-2.
Yeah.
See, you've missed something.
What?
Because as much as Danny Ings is out, and that's a big problem, they've still got a goal in it. Don't get me wrong, that one. But there are concerns over the fitness of Jan Bednarak and Ryan Bertrand.
No, I think they'll be fine because they'll have.
They both picked up injuries against us at the weekend.
They'll probably start Jan Valery at left back then instead of Ryan Bertrand if he's not fully fit, and then summer signing Mohamed Salisu if Jan Bednarak isn't fit, or Jack Stevens. So I think they'd be fine in that sense. But yeah,
I fear this is this week's funny result. I'm going 2-0 Newcastle.
Interesting. Next up on Saturday, lunchtime sees Everton host Manchester United at Goodison Park at 12:30. Everton are unbeaten in their last 3 games against Manchester United, with both games last season ending in a 1-1 draw. They last went 4 without defeat against the Red Devils in March 1990. Man United have won more Premier League games against Everton than any other side has won against another in the competition's history, 36. Meanwhile, their 16 wins at Goodison Park is the joint most away wins for a club at a specific venue in the competition. For Everton, they are looking to avoid 3 consecutive Premier League defeats for the first time since December last year, while Carlo Ancelotti hasn't lost 3 league games in a row since November 2006 with AC Milan. Man United coming in off that poor game the other night against Istanbul Başakşehir, as we just said. Is this Everton's turn to pass and put more pressure on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side?
I mean, they've got no better chance. It's the best chance they're going to get. Correct me if I'm wrong, Richarlison's still out.
I think he is, yes.
Right, so really stupid. They're unsure on Rodriguez, even though there is word that he could come back.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a late fitness test for that one. But they will be able to welcome back.
As of time of recording, there's no news on it.
Yeah, and they'll be able to welcome back left back Luca Digne, who missed out a weekend due to a suspension.
And with the way he gets forward, that's kind of decisive. That's more for Wan-Bissaka to do with, because obviously where United are, they're not having a winger back helping him to defend, so it's just going to get overloaded on that.
Yeah. I think it is going to be the game where Everton break their losing streak, if you can really call it a streak, because it's only 2 games. And I'm going to go with a 2-1 Everton win and Calvert-Lewin to score a brace.
I don't think this ends in an Everton win. This would be typical United to turn back up again, and and then just go crisis. What crisis?
Just turn a blind eye to it.
They're going to win. United are going to win 2-1.
Okay.
This is Marcus Rashford's time to step up again.
Next up, we have Crystal Palace taking on Leeds United at 3:00 at Selhurst Park. Palace are unbeaten in their last 4 home league games against Leeds, winning 2, drawing the other 2. With this, the first such meeting since a 2-2 draw in the Championship of March 2013. Leeds have won 3 of their last 4 Premier League games with Palace. With this, their first such game since a 2-0 win at Selhurst Park in January 1998. Leeds are looking, I think, as I would expect it, or a little bit better than I did.
They're doing what I expected them to do. I expected them to teams around them. They'll dominate the game. Their style. They haven't changed. They're exactly how they were in the Championship, and it's worked now and again. You'll see the games where it works against Villa, and then you'll see the games where they get found out a bit against Liverpool and Leicester.
Palace in a place below them, only on goal compared to Leeds, it's 0. So I think this game's got a draw written all over it.
I think it'll be
I think it's going to be a 2-2.
It will be interesting to see how Palace deal with that. Is it? I don't know if I see him sitting back, just letting Leeds come so they can't, rather than just counter him back.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very tactical game. Bielsa and Roy Hodgson compared to how both sides set up who comes out attacking.
I never thought I'd find myself intrigued for Roy Hodgson against Marcelo Bielsa. It's such a weird symmetry about getting intrigued about that matchup.
Yeah, it's weird, but I think it actually is going to be quite interesting to see how it does. So I went with a 2-2. What are you going for the game?
I'm going to go 1-1.
Okay. Saturday early evening sees Chelsea play host to Sheffield United at 5:30 at Stamford Bridge. The Blues are looking in somewhat decent form.
That sounds good. That's also good.
Kept 5 clean sheets in their last 5 games for the first time since 2010. So new signing Eduardo Mendy is looking decent. Whilst the Blades on the opposite hand are having a really bad season, sitting in 19th place, only 1 point. Some facts about the game. Chelsea have conceded exactly twice in 5 of their last 6 home league games against Sheffield United, keeping a clean sheet in the other back in 2007. Sheffield United avoided defeat in both league games against Chelsea last season, winning one and drawing the other, coming from 2-0 down to draw 2-2 in this exact fixture at Stamford Bridge in August 2019. I think this has got a Chelsea win all over this. I think the front line are starting to come together. Werner, Pulisic, Ziyech if he starts. I think the only one that's somewhat a little struggling would be Kai Havertz, but obviously he won't be available for the game after Frank Lampard confirmed he tested positive for COVID-19 on Monday, or was it Tuesday he said it?
I believe it was Tuesday just before the game against Rennes.
Yes, so we wish him a speedy recovery. But yeah, I think this is Chelsea easy 3-0 win.
I've got 2-0.
Okay, and the last game of Saturday sees West Ham play Fulham in a London derby. 8:00 on Sky Sports box office, I believe. BT Sports box office. So, some facts about the game. After losing in their first Premier League home match against Fulham in November 2001, West Ham are unbeaten in their last 10 games against the Cottagers in the top flight, winning 6 draw in the other 4. Fulham haven't kept a clean sheet in any of their last 15 Premier League meetings with West Ham, shipping exactly 3 in each of their last 3 away games against them. West Ham have won 59% of their games against Fulham, the highest ratio against any opponent they've faced at least 10 times in the Premier League. So it's looking good reading for West Ham, not so good for Fulham. And with the stats that West Ham have scored at least
Fulham are on the
3.
I mean, Fulham are the happiest they've been all season.
But for how long? Because I mean, it was a win against a poor West Brom.
We'll get to that one.
We'll get on to West Brom in a minute as they've got Sunday lunchtime. But I think West Ham are going to win this quite easily, and I'm going to go with 3-1 West Ham. Mikel Antonio to score a brace.
I mean, you say Mikel Antonio, but as far as right, he might still be out. I believe. I'm pretty sure it was a month. They said last week. Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
If he's back, he's back. But as a recording, I'm fairly sure he's still out.
Okay, well,
I don't think they need Mikel Antonio to beat Fulham. They should come through this still, but I would say it's as straightforward. I'll still say 2-0.
Okay. On to Sunday lunchtime now, where it will be taking place at the Hawthorns, where West Bromwich Albion will be playing Tottenham Hotspur on Sky Sports box office. Some facts about the game: West Brom won their last Premier League encounter with Spurs 1-0 back in May 2018. They've not won back-to-back league games against Tottenham since November 1984. Tottenham have conceded just 6 goals in their last 8 Premier League meetings with West Brom and never more than once in a match in that run. 46% of Premier League meetings between the two sides have ended in draws. Of all the fixtures that have been played at least 20 times in the competition, only Aston Villa versus West Ham has ended level more regularly.
Of course.
So I think it's an easy 4-0 Spurs win. Kane and Son both to get a brace.
See, this league plays with our minds. Surely Tottenham can't screw this one up. They just can't.
They can't. But it would be so Tottenham. But it would be so Tottenham to do it.
No, they can't. It's ending 3-0. Actually, no, scratch that. It's 3-1. 3-1.
Okay. The next game on Sunday afternoon at 2:00 sees Leicester play host to West Midlands side Wolves, because Leicester are east.
You know your Midlands.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to make sure I'm getting Leicester in East Midlands, not calling them a West Midlands side, because they're not. That game's on Sky Sports Premier League and main event from the King Power Stadium. Some facts about this: Leicester City have lost just once of their last 23 home games against Wolves, winning 13, drawing 9, with that defeat coming back in the Championship in May 2007, where they lost 4-1. In the top flight, Wolves are winless in their last 10 away games against Leicester, drawing 4, losing 6 since a 2-1 win back in December of 1971. Wolves have failed to score in 6 of their last 7 top flight matches at Filbert Street / King Power Stadium.
Filbert Street, that one for the older lot.
Yes. So I think Wolves are a good side, but so are Leicester. I think this is 2 very good sides, and it's definitely one of the tastier games that we have to look forward to this week. And I'm
2 ruthless animals in foxes and wolves.
Yes, I'm going to go for a 2-2.
I don't think it's that open. I'll say 1-1.
Okay. The following game on Sunday sees Manchester City play host to League champions Liverpool at 4:30 at the Etihad Stadium. Again, this is on Sky Sports main event, Sky Sports Premier League. Man City have won their last 3 home league games against Liverpool by an aggregate score of 11-1. They've not won 4 consecutively against the Reds at home since March 1937. Liverpool haven't kept a clean sheet in any of their last 10 league away games against Man City, conceding 26 goals in total in that run. And City have won 9 of their last 10 Premier League games against reigning champions, with the only exception in that run being a 4-2 loss at Leicester in December 2016. However, they've won none of their last 11 when facing Liverpool as the previous season's title winners, since a 3-1 win in October in 1977. Again, it should be a very good game between 2 very good sides. Don't know who is fully fit for Pep Guardiola's side this weekend. I don't know whether he has striker fit.
Jesus came on the other night.
Yes, he did come back on. So
you would gather he's back.
Is he going to start, or is he going to be another substitute appearance for Guardiola's side?
I'd expect him to start.
Yeah, such a big game. I expect him to start. I think the main issue for Liverpool here is if Jesus starts at centre forward, is their centre backs, because they haven't really had a tough game since Van Dijk's injury. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope with, especially a very interchangeable and fast front three that Guardiola seems to favour.
Maybe. I mean, there was a defence options. There's obviously Gomez, but wasn't there stuff on Matip being fit? Because if not, that obviously leaves them with Williams and Nathaniel Phillip. That's 2 young players that are going into massively important game.
in what would be their biggest games of their careers to
It's
date.
It's the game that decides Liverpool are up there again. I mean, they're going to be up there again. We know that.
Yeah.
But our City, this is must win almost for City, considering how they've started.
Yeah, I mean, a win and other results go their way this weekend, City could jump into the top 4. And a win for Liverpool would obviously put them back up on top if results earlier on in the weekend go against them. I think Liverpool are just going to snatch. No, sorry, Man City are going to snatch this 2-1.
Bold predictions, but I'm going 2-2.
Okay. And finally, this weekend's fixtures before the international break sees Arsenal play host to Aston Villa at 7:15 on Sky Sports box office. So, as a Villa fan, I'm going to give you some facts which probably aren't going to sound too nice for you. So, Arsenal have won their last 3 home league games.
I've been kicked down enough times in my life. Just doesn't faze me.
Hang on, this is going to be somewhat nice to you. Arsenal have won their last 3 home games against Aston Villa by an aggregate score of 12-2. However, only Chelsea, Man City and Man United have won more Premier League away games at the Emirates than Aston Villa. Villa are looking to win consecutive league games against Arsenal for the first time since they did in May and December of 1998, though both victories came back then at Villa Park. Arsenal's 1-0 win against Aston Villa's 1-0 win at Arsenal at Villa Park in July ended a run of 7 straight defeats against the Gunners in all competitions, across which they had conceded 23 goals. I think this is it's a very tight game in terms of positioning, both 8th and 9th and level on points.
And it will not have the same tension as the last one. There's just nowhere near the same tension as the last one.
Yeah.
And at that point, Arsenal's season was over at that point. So don't blame them if they didn't turn up. But I thought they did. I thought they were still pretty good in that game. We just got the goal on the night, and it ended up being the most important goal of our season. But it's going to be nothing of the sort this time.
I'm going to go. I think this is the game that Arsenal drop back to normal Arsenal when people are like, is Mikel Arteta really that good? And I'm going to go with a shock Aston Villa 2-1 victory.
You bastard. You bastard. You give me hope. Stop it.
With Jack Grealish scoring the winner in stoppage time like he did last week, though it wasn't the winner against Southampton.
Stoppage time. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and say we don't have a chance. We absolutely have a chance. We've got a goal in us. Which is unlike we had the whole of the restart towards the end of last season. Our defence just needs to be on point. That's all that needs to happen. It's what was happening at the start of this season. It's not coincidental that the 2 games we've lost, we've been shite defensively.
Yeah.
As long as our defence is fine, I think we have a chance.
You just gotta hope that Aubameyang's goal last week isn't something to get him back into his goal scoring.
I mean, even if he hadn't scored last week, he was scoring this week because that's what we do. We help players out.
Elsewhere in the world of football, Valencia are playing Real Madrid on Sunday evening. Should be a very good game, always is, between the two sides. And then in Germany, we have the big one, aka the Klassiker, on Saturday evening at 5:30, where Borussia Dortmund will welcome Bayern Munich to Signal Iduna Park. As ever, it's a top of the table clash. It's going to be a great game. Erling Haaland versus Robert Lewandowski.
I've seen Haaland's goal scoring record at Dortmund. It's up 26 in 28 games. It's immense.
He's phenomenal.
How is he
I
getting
mean,
slept? I feel like he's slightly being slept on. Just a little bit. Like, he should be in the Mbappe conversation right now.
I think he's better than Mbappe at the minute in time.
Right now, yes. Countryman.
I don't
Be a
know. I
project
think
Mbappe. It's a project
it
Haaland.
should, yeah, 100% it should be. I think it's because he's doing it so often that it's just became the norm, that we're not shocked by him scoring a brace or a hat trick each game. A bit like when Messi or Ronaldo score goals now, you're just like, I know when Barcelona played Dynamo Kiev yesterday, they went 1-0 up, and I was like, who scored? Let me guess, Lionel Messi. And it turned out to be him. So I think that's the problem with Haaland at the minute, and the fact that Bayern are still buying in the Bundesliga, where if Bayern weren't as good this season, I think all the plaudits and eyes would be on Haaland and Lucien Favre's Dortmund. That game, I mean, the last one was one of the early ones back post lockdown in Germany, and I believe Bayern won 5-0 or 5-1.
It's always an open game. That's what I've always said. It's always been open.
I'm going to go with a 3-2 Bayern win.
It's definitely your every one of these mine.
I'm elsewhere in the world of football. In Italy, Lazio play Juventus on Sunday morning at 11:30, so it should be a good game. And then the following game at 2:00 sees Atalanta play Inter Milan. Two very impressive sides this season. Atalanta continuing their great form of last year under Gian Gasparini, and Inter Milan are starting to look okay despite the occasional blip under Antonio Conte. And elsewhere in the world, the MLS regular season comes to an end this weekend, with all but one playoffs or two playoff spots in the Eastern Conference sorted. I believe it's 8th and 9th, or 9th and 10th that aren't sorted in the East. Everything else is sorted. All games kick off. Sorry, no, they don't all kick off at the same time.
As I said, confirms me that Minnesota United are at least for it.
Give me 2 seconds. So the first half of games on that day kick off at 8:30, with the other lot kicking off at 11:30 UK time. With it, it's the East Conference, so that is the conference nearest the United Kingdom. They're at 8:30, whilst 11:30 is the West Conference. And the MLS table, Minnesota United, the Loons as they are known. Yes, they're in 5th place.
Come up the Wonderwall if you think you can.
They're a place above my LAFC, actually.
Can't get past the Wonderwall, that's why.
I think the big surprise in the MLS is that the LA Galaxy are missing out on the playoffs this year after a poor season.
There's last time in a party.
They did sack their manager about a week and a half ago now, if not 2 weeks now.
It's got to be a first for him, surely.
First in a very long time. Yes. Inter Miami still have a chance, David Beckham's side, to make the playoffs. So basically, for those that aren't aware, the MLS this season has decided that with the final games, they're going to be sorting it on a points per game basis rather than final league standings. So it's going to be very confusing. So at the minute, at the top of the...
That's going to end fairly. Not like Americans demand about unfair decisions, is it?
We'll try and stay out of politics, because at the minute in the Eastern Conference, Philadelphia Union are first because they've scored more goals than Toronto.
Stop the counts.
I think that's still going on.
Of course it's going on.
But yeah, so the MLS, it's finishing this Sunday, as previously mentioned. Games kicking off at 8:30 and 11:30 in the UK if you are interested in watching that. And the big game in the Women's Premier League this weekend sees Manchester United take on Arsenal women at 2:30. The game's available on the FA Player, as is 90% of the games, unless stated otherwise. This is going to be very interesting. It's Man United's biggest test this season. Arsenal will be hoping to continue their perfect starts, winning all 5 games, scoring 29 goals, conceding 4. Arsenal will be somewhat of the tighter of the two teams, as they played yesterday in the Conti Cup, where Manchester United's game against Everton was postponed due to safety concerns regarding the stadium. And the one player they'll be looking to tame will be Arsenal striker Viviana Miedema, who scored 4 goals yesterday for Arsenal against the London City Lionesses as they won 4-0, and to take her total up to 82 goals in 81 games for Arsenal. And I think Manchester United, personally looking at this, have a chance, but it's going to be a close one, and hopefully it's a draw.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I'm the biggest expert in this, but from what I hear, Arsenal are doing very, very well in this. Do they come as his favourites slightly, or
Yeah, they'll definitely come into it as favourites.
Yeah, so I would go Arsenal.
I don't like making predictions like this. It's too close to call.
You should be a pollster.
Right, that is all we've got time for on this week's show. We'll be back later on in the week to review all the Premier League fixtures and any more big talking points that happen across the week.
A week can't get much worse.
True. If you are listening, make sure, wherever you're listening, make sure you subscribed, and so you never miss an episode, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Our Facebook page is OTC, and our Twitter is also at OTC.
That's OTC Pod.
Have you changed it? Or has it always been that?
Well, it's always been that. Someone's got to be glued up on these things.
Yes. And we will be back later on in the week, as I said previously, to review the Premier League fixtures and any other talking points. In the meantime, stay safe wherever you are in the world, as we are currently continuing with the global pandemic, and we'll be back later in the week. And it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.